Good evening and welcome to the Town of Deerfield Selectboard Board of Health Sewer Commissioners meeting of November 20. It's now 6:05 p.m. This meeting will be held in a hybrid fashion with the opportunity for both in-person attendance and remote participation. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. The meeting will be held in person in the main meeting room of Deerfield Municipal Offices. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, anyone intending to record the meeting must identify themselves to the clerk, Blake Gilmore, and provide their name and address for the record. We will be beginning the meeting with just myself and Blake. We have a quorum. Trevor is at a South County Senior Center Board of Oversight meeting, and he'll join us when he is available. Okay, and so I'll call the meeting to order. We have 20 minutes of public comment for anyone who might wish to address anything on the agenda or any other topic. So, is there anyone in the audience who has a comment to make, or anyone online? Hearing no one or seeing no hands, we will move on. How do we want to handle Ned Savitsky?
You could be under item 5 there, Board of Health.
Okay.
Or actually, if you want to have him do hearings and appearances, he's here. So
why don't we do that? So first, I'd like to call up Ned Savitsky. He's our new public health agent, just to come up and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself so that the residents become familiar with you.
Sure. My name's Ned Savitsky.
and Ned, I'm just going to speak right into the microphone so folks online can hear you. Thanks.
Okay. My name's Ned Savitsky. I'm the new health agent for the town of Deerfield, South Deerfield. I'm excited to be here. I have approximately 6 years experience with soil evaluations, Title V inspections, a lifelong experience of food establishments in my background. I'm a former small business owner, and my goal until retirement is to work in public health, and Deerfield seems like the perfect place for me to land. So,
well, I hope everybody has welcomed you and
sure.
Made you feel at home. We're looking forward to having a full-time health agent.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we've been happy to have Ned, join some of our regular building and inspections, standing team meetings, and review some, pending special permits that are out there for major projects. So happy to have Ned on board. We're really lucky to have someone with his experience and someone who can handle all facets of this multifaceted job.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm familiar with the new permitting system also. I've been helping out with that a little bit the past couple days, and it's coming back to me very quickly, so no issues there. I've done a few Title V's here in town already, have a couple more scheduled. And I'm just looking forward to getting to know the town and developing a relationship with Deerfield. So.
Great. Well, glad to have you. So if there's nothing else to report on the Board of Health front, to give you a chance to get an early start home.
All right. Yeah, no, nothing yet. So
Thank
all
you.
good.
Thank you, Ned.
Thanks, Ned.
Thank you.
All right. So next up, select board reports or announcements. You got anything, Blake?
No. All right.
I have a couple of semi select board announcements. One is that, as many of you may know, the March for the Food Bank is going to take place next Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, it will be coming through Deerfield. I've been marching for the past 2 years and will continue to march with a group from Frontier called the Frontier Stomping Out Hunger. Ben Clark of Clarkdale is also marching. If you feel able to, go to the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts and make any donation you can. It's to help feed people who are less fortunate. And the other thing I'd just like to mention is that the Frontier boys soccer team made it to the semifinals, but they were unfortunate not to succeed last night. But I wanted to congratulate the team and Coach Horton for a great job. I know that everybody had a great season, so just wanted to acknowledge their efforts.
Yep.
And that,
I echo that as well. Congratulations to the soccer team.
excellent. And now, I don't have anything for Board of Health, but do you have anything that you've been working on, Blake?
All right. Not on this week.
Great.
In December, we've got some stuff, so.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, so the next thing up is approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes for tonight, so I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 16, 2024 with the following requested amendment. I would like to have someone go through and correct the spelling of Blake Gilmore's last name to have 1 L instead of 2 throughout.
Second.
Sorry about that one, Blake.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
It's been spelled several different ways, so it really doesn't bother me.
I know. From
I'm going to throw a U and an extra E in there next time.
there you go.
Please do.
Spell it like the British would, yeah. And I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 30, 2024 with the same amendment to Blake Gilmore's last name.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. And, you know, if you have some spare time, Greg or Alex Hirschenritter, you could go back through and check if we've been doing this for a while. I just happened to notice it tonight. All right.
I actually noticed it, but I didn't even take
Yeah.
note of it, so.
All right. All good. All right. So now we have some discussion items, and I will just ask you, Chris, to just take us through those things. First one is a Frontier Regional request.
Sure. So item 7A here. So Frontier Regional reached out last week to request that all of its member towns approve an amendment to the existing FY25 budget, essentially just reallocating $200,000 in excess and deficiency funds, which, you know, is essentially their free cash. And they will use those funds to cover the cost of updates to the fire alarm panel system for the schools.
So this is subject to all approval by the member towns boards of
Yes, and every board has 45 days to make that decision. So I believe until December 28th.
Excellent. I've looked at the letter. You look at the letter too
I have
already?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that is something that, this is a done deal. You have to have this done. I mean, I'm sure that, Chris, that the old board is no longer serviceable or the fire service system.
Yeah, I believe there's just some issues with it. It's one of, a number of capital projects that they've been looking at, and it sounds like it's become a priority.
And I think, what are we talking about, 30 years for that thing now?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it's been in service at this point.
I believe I was asking today, it was about 30 years, so it's definitely time.
End of life. And
Yeah,
the nice thing is it doesn't require us to go into
right.
any additional funding. So I'd take a motion to approve this request.
I make a motion that we accept the request to fund and replace the school's fire alarm panel system and amend the previously approved fiscal 25 budget to reallocate $200,000 to cover some of this cost.
Okay, and I'll second
I don't
that.
know. I don't know if that's the cost of it, or if wasn't that the allocation that was coming back, and then I don't know what this thing's gonna cost. Did I miss
Yeah,
it?
I think just approving the $200,000
Yep,
to be reallocated. is
Okay.
Sufficient.
Yep. So any further discussion? As you can see, Trevor McDaniel has joined us, as I said he would. So welcome, Trevor.
Thank you.
We're just discussing this request.
Yep.
Any further discussion or thoughts on this before we vote?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. Okay. So you want to take us through the next thing, Christopher?
Sure. Earlier this year, we were approached by SCEMS about an AFG grant that they had applied for. And the Department of Human Services has come back just asking for a little bit more detail on our non-discrimination policy. And for a little bit of background, so the non-discrimination policy is really, it's outward facing. So if we were to have a resident say, interact with a town employee and feel that they had been discriminated against, this policy covers, how we handle that type of situation. And so DHS was really just asking for some additional detail in the procedures. Greg Snedeker, our assistant town administrator, took the lead role in drafting a more detailed policy. And of course, he's available on Zoom if there are questions about the policy in front of you. But I don't believe, Greg, that we need an actual motion tonight from the select board. I think this policy has been approved already. And we just wanted to keep everyone in the loop, given that, this is going to be the policy moving forward.
Right, it's an explanation of the policy and an implementation of the policy. So it's just a little more detail that the DHS required. They wanted sort of step-by-step procedures in terms of the policies that were already created and approved by town meeting.
Yep, so we're just basically providing them the information they're requesting.
Yeah, we just thought it would be prudent to have your approval on this.
Mm-hmm. So do we even need a motion on this?
I don't think you need a
I think by
motion.
consensus, we're happy to share our non-discrimination policy with DHS.
Sure.
All right, the next item is town community preservation committee agreement that will govern how the 1888 building funds are shared, are governed. So it's kind of complicated, so.
Sure, it's, we don't always have grant agreements between the CPC and, the applicant that they're awarding funds to. In this case, council advised, just given the sheer magnitude of the funding and the fact that the committee had placed some conditions on approval of the funding, that we just memorialized that in a grant agreement. So it's a short agreement, just spells out, here are the terms, here's how long those funds are available to the project. And then, of course, list those conditions that the committee placed on the funds. And the CPC had the opportunity to sign off on this at their meeting last week. So they're just looking for a counter signature at this point. And again, just an opportunity to kind of create a paper trail for those conditions that the committee placed on the project.
And is town administrator able to sign this for us? Or I guess there's town accountant. Who else is?
Council.
Town council and
And then it just says.
the recipient, is that?
Yeah, the recipient is the select board in this
Okay.
case. You could sign.
We could just have we designate myself and I'll sign
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right, so I will make a motion to approve the agreement between the Deerfield Select Board and the Community Preservation Committee to grant $3,806,825 to the 1880 building project as spelled out in the agreement prepared by our council.
And to have the chair sign.
And have the chair sign for the select board.
I'll second that.
Second.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. We got a second from Blake?
Yep, second from Blake, good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. And Christopher, do you have a signature, or I can come in tomorrow and sign it?
Yeah, I have a physical copy if you, yeah.
Or after the end of the
Yep.
meeting? Okay, great. All right. Next up is a E3 contract amendment. Do you want to take us through that?
Sure. So this is the second contract amendment with P3 for the 1888 building project. The first one was after we got a new architect for the project, Kuhn Riddle Architects, over the summer. And then essentially, we said we would move forward with, their full fee once we had town meeting approval. And so that's, now that we've gotten town meeting approval of the project for the CPC funds, we're authorizing this $218,000 for E3 to complete their services as owner's project manager.
And for those services, for people who aren't familiar with owners, project managers, they essentially act as the town's agent to ensure that the parties to the project are acting in a manner that's appropriate. They review all the contract, billing, et cetera. Once the project is awarded, they work with the architect to develop final cost estimates. They take the bidding process and they write the requests for contractors to apply for this, and then they help the select board and the building committee review the various proposals and select a contractor, and then monitor the project as it moves forward. So it's required by state law as well.
And it looks like, so this is Amendment 1, which is 30, and then when we get into construction documents and bidding and construction administration, that's another amendment that will come later, correct?
No, so this is Amendment 2.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
2. Oh, I thought it was Amendment 1 at the top, so I didn't see.
Yeah, so basically we had a short agreement with, did a typo?
Yeah, so this is Amendment 2. So Amendment 1, again, was for $30,000
Okay.
for their services after we got a new architect for the project.
Yeah.
And so now that we're at the point where we actually have full funding available, we're going to move on to,
This is the bottom section here. Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, yep. I'm good with that then.
Okay, and did we have a motion? I forget.
I think there might be one in front of you.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yes, you still have to make it if that's the question.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I can forget what I've done already. Okay, so I make a motion to approve contract amendment number 2 with the project planning professionals, P3, in the amount of $218,000 for owner's project manager services for the 1888 building project, and authorize the town administrator to sign.
I'll second that
Yes.
motion.
Okay, Trevor, second this one. Any further discussion?
Ahead of me.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. All right. Next up is board committee applications, general appointments and resignations. I think we have one thing tonight.
Yeah, we had an application from Paul Olszewski to serve on our cable advisory committee. I know we had a second candidate who was also interested. They've said they're no longer going to move forward. So at this point, Paul is our sole applicant for that committee. And I believe got a request from Joyce from Whately to fill that as soon as we can so they can start renegotiating with Comcast.
A big motion to approve Paul Shevsky on the Tri-Town Cable Advisory Committee.
Second,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Thank you, Paul, for
Tim Hilchey, aye.
stepping up. Appreciate that.
Okay. Trying to. All right, and we've been asked for a letter of support for the DES Playground CPC application.
I can explain that if you want. Or
Yeah,
I'll wait?
that's what I was gonna do. I
Oh,
don't-
good.
before we have a motion, let's have a little discussion.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Okay, I talked to Darius this week about the project. So that several years back, might be 10 now, time flies, we had put CPC money together to improve the playground on the east side of the elementary school. And we tried to be a little forward-thinking and do some foam safety pavement and a mix of wood chips as well, and then tried to use some ADA compliant apparatus. It's not efficient. It doesn't really work well with all the wood chips. It's very hard to get a wheelchair onto the playground, and there's not much equipment that can be used. There's quite a few other things that need to be improved as well. So really, the idea is to redo all the surfaces so that it's all the foam area. Some of the foam is kind of underneath and undermined. So redo the whole foundation. So get rid of the wood chips, make it ADA accessible so a chair can get on and off very easily. And there's several new apparatus that will come in. We'll be reusing and saving the fairly new apparatus that was put in with the last CPC project that was all volunteer had done. So there'll be keep that structure, another structure, keep the swing set, and a few other improvements. Originally, Darius was hoping to do a much larger project where he could do the kindergarten preschool, or the preschool end, which is a smaller kind of north section of the playground that he's going to come back for later. It also needs to get, safe, easy, accessible. You can't even get a wheelchair or even crutches onto that playground right now, but he's going to tackle that later. So the initial part is to start with this, request 200,000 from CPC to get going on this, and then I think he'll be using school choice for some of the other funding to finish out the first phase, and then hopefully come back in a few years or a year or so when CPC may fill up for recreation and request again, and maybe have some other funding sources. But it is initially to get ADA compliant and have some wheelchair accessible for the playground and redo the surfacing. So that's I guess what I know so far.
I had some conversation with Darius about this when he was envisioning a larger project. Do we actually have any information about, I don't see the 200,000.
There is a breakdown that Darius forwarded.
Okay.
So I'm happy to speak to that.
Sure, is it something you can share, or is that too much trouble?
No, I think I should be able to share it on here. You'll give me just one
Yeah,
moment.
thank you.
Yeah, and I believe so as Trevor mentioned, there's $200,000 requested from the CPC. That's out of, I think, an initial 386,000 for the first phase of the project.
Yeah, and I was curious if CPC is obviously beginning I think they started their round of reviews on November 1st. And so I assume this met their deadline for applications and
I believe so. Yeah, they had requested the letters.
yeah, and I was interested to know how much, this is a question for Brenda, maybe she could provide information, what's in the recreation fund at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've done a recreation project recently, other than the one that didn't move forward.
Right.
So hopefully there's a fair amount of money available. Are you able to see that? Like I'm
Yeah, let me blow it up for you. It's real.
struggling myself.
I believe he has this kind of some alternates too, like this will have to go through the conservation because everything, even up to the building, is in the floodplain.
Yeah, it's in the
And-
200-foot
Yeah, and the swing sets are really down close to that area, and he really is hoping to kind of get rid of all those. They spend about 6,000 a year on wood chips, and then they're just everywhere, and it's really hard. They get tripped up and everything, and it's hard for anybody in a wheelchair to kind of get around them. And
Some of the things that were being suggested were, public safety issues that,
Yep.
Need to be addressed, and also to give more opportunity for differently abled people to be utilize more of the.
yeah,
So obviously, there's a fair amount of detail on here, but I would just call everyone's attention to the yellow bar there that shows
Mhm.
phase one, grades 1 through 6. And, as I said, 200,000 from CPC, and then the remainder would be school choice funded. And then moving down a bit, we have phase 2, so this would be for the pre-K portion. That's estimated at 310,000. Funding still to be identified. And there's a handful of, as Trevor mentioned, ad alternates as well. Which the ad alternates, it looks like, come to about 65,000 or so.
repaving of the basketball courts and yeah. Yep. There is, I guess we had put some TRG around that too, and there's just constant getting onto the pavement. Every time a kid trips, he's falling on that stone, and there's always scrapes, and so trying to get rid of that kind of material, the loose stone around there as well.
Right. Any other questions on that one? I can bring it back up if needed.
No, that's
but
okay.
Trevor, what are they going to replace it with? That,
The foam, like,
Oh, the foam.
yeah, that foam flooring or the padding.
Yeah, it's something that wheelchairs can actually go across. And,
Yep.
I have no objection to sending a letter of support to CPC. Obviously, they may have concerns about the fact that, this can only be used by the school most of the time.
Right.
So,
Yep.
unlike the pickleball courts and stuff where there's a community. So we'll have to
Yeah.
does the school have an alternate plan if CPC doesn't recommend?
No, and the other issue too is that, with I think he's hoping to fund the other part of it with some funding from the state, when we're getting,
ADA.
that we're getting, rural aid and that kind of thing, but he's concerned about 9C cuts. The budgets aren't looking like they are. So I think he's looking for this letter of support, but he's going to be very judicious in like looking at the economy. Are we still getting this funding? Yes, this is needed, should be done, but if it's either that or education, he's going to focus there first. So he's going to take a slow walk as he gets through it, from what I understand, to just make sure the funding's there on his part as well.
Okay, so have you read this letter? Blake?
yeah, just right.
Okay.
Yep. I'm good.
So if somebody wants to make a recommendation, or
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of support to superintendent for the Deerfield School Committee to request CPC funding for the playground improvements for phase 1 of 200,000.
Second,
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. Okay, thank you. So next up is an item of mail. So we got something from Xfinity, and do you want to briefly summarize this?
Sure. I think, Paul Lashevsky can bring this up with Comcast next opportunity he has. No, they just let us know, but, there are going to be some price changes, and I don't think we've actually seen those changes just yet, but they'll be reflected in future correspondence from Comcast. So
You mean they're going to lower the cost?
I wish.
Or it
It sounds like,
improve the service?
it sounds like from what I've read that Comcast is spinning off certain affiliations that they have, and they're trying to Titan or whatever they're doing, because they're trying to compete with
Stream,
like all the ones that are just off the internet,
Hulu.
and they're losing ground. So I think that you're right.
Stuff.
We should be getting a better price. So anyways,
Mhm.
we'll give that one to Mr. Oshesky then.
Right. And, yeah, no, it currently Comcast is the only game in town.
Mm-hmm.
And that's every 10 years we get a bite at the apple. And so hopefully we'll have some success on this. All right. I don't know how we make this, or if we bother to make this information available, because they have some details about pricing and so forth. But does this require like the cable committee to approve this new contract going forward? Or is this just what's going to happen to us?
I think this is just kind of what's happening to us unless they negotiate something. I think what they negotiate more is the fees to PEG access and that kind of thing, not so much that what we get charged or what they carry. I could be wrong, though. I'm not 100% sure.
All right. All right. And the next thing is this road safety audit.
Yep.
Is that what you're going to report in your?
Yeah, I've got a couple things I'll report on. And so, yeah, I believe with Trevor and Blake attended the road safety audit a few weeks ago for the Mill Village, North Main 5 and 10 intersection.
Right.
It's a huge document. It's like 70 pages. I think what's useful in it, I think, is, or at least what I found useful, they do kind of lay out all the potential options for improving that intersection, including, implementing a roundabout or traffic lights or something like that.
Yep.
And then they also have some documentation, which they presented at the meeting, about what kind of crashes they're seeing at that intersection. And that was certainly useful to me, just understanding, what are the real risks here, having not driven the intersection as much as some people who were in attendance. So.
I have a request. Are we able to put even just what that bit you gave us here up on our website?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
That
Because I
shouldn't be a
know that
problem.
there was a group that kind of pushed this along and probably would love to read it too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if they got access to it or not. So
Yeah, but
that'd be great.
yeah, Patricia Taylor and
Yeah.
Wayne Manley have
Wayne
been
Manley,
great
yeah.
on this. So
Okay,
definitely going to highlight their efforts, and happy to put this on the
Perfect.
website.
Thank you. Great.
So that's good. I have the pleasure to pass that intersection pretty much daily. And when the bridge was still in effect, I mean, I've witnessed numerous, near misses on a daily basis. So I was interested did you take away any sense of where they were leaning?
Well, this is a part of MassDOT's process, and it's a little hard to say, what they'll take from this and what direction. This is kind of laying out all of the different potential options, and they've also got in there kind of, high to medium to low costs and timeframes.
Right.
In terms of the solutions being implemented. So no, I wouldn't say I got a sense of which way they're leaning yet, but more to come from MassDOT. And it's been just nice to see that they're taking the dangers of this intersection seriously and moving this project forward.
Yeah, no, that's a good takeaway. And coincidentally, not that anyone cares, my sister just told me about a road accident she had in Florida. Then I happened to be on the internet, and the next thing that popped up was an interesting road accident, a light at a four-way light. And, the difference between a lighted intersection and a roundabout is that it's a lot harder to run a red light. A lot easier to run a red light than it is to, not drive through the roundabout properly. So,
Right. I favor of a roundabout for sure.
so anyway, well, this is all good. So we don't have any action on this, right?
Nope.
Yeah, no action, just providing an update. The Franklin County Solid Waste District also submitted a report.
What is this?
Well, I wish Greg was here because he was the one who got the email. So I believe it documents, basically our deliveries of solid waste to the district.
You mean like when they come and pick up a trailer or something? Because there's like no shows.
There's no shows.
Registered. I was wondering what that meant. And then actual versus.
We might come back to this, our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
and-
It's good data. We just don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know what it is. Yeah, that was a Greg thing. So
Sounds good.
unfortunately, I don't have the details
No
on that
worries.
in front of me. Did want to give a quick update. Stillwater Bridge, had a meeting with MassDOT and Town Council this past week. So next steps on that are to get an appraisal done of the potential takings that are involved, and they're all quite minor takings.
Great.
Basically just, little adjustments around property lines to make sure that the roadway and the bridge are properly aligned. So Lisa's going to come back with some recommendations around an appraisal company that she knows will meet the standards that are required by MassDOT.
Time frame as far as like getting it done before annual town meeting.
That is the hope. Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
good.
aim.
Be great.
And
There's
then
a lot to do, but
there is a lot to do. And then simultaneously, I'm going to be submitting, our recommended Article 97 mitigation land to MassDOT to share with one of the environmental agencies who's
Yep.
involved next week.
okay.
So it appears, the little sliver of land at the end of what's called Martins Falls Road
Mhm.
should be sufficient.
Right.
Um,
Right on the river.
right on the river, so similar to what's being taken from the hydro company in terms of
Yeah.
Article 97 land. And then we'll provide, Steam Mill Road Forest as kind of a backup, but
Yes.
just in case there's some issue with the first parcel.
Sure.
And then in the new year, we'll formally file legislation. So that legislation will be moving forward kind of at the same time that we're actually appraising the takings. Because of course, the Article 97 process, you got both chambers of the legislature, 2/3. So it's a high bar.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the idea is to have this all moving forward, and I believe kind of put a ribbon on things at fall special town meeting.
Okay.
So we
Right.
wouldn't be able to vote on the annual town meeting, but at fall.
I believe we're going to be able to vote on the takings
Yeah.
at spring town meeting, and then
Have the
Finish up.
approvals by fall.
yeah.
Okay. That's great. Good plan.
All right. So the next item is something that was unanticipated 48 hours before this meeting. Now, we can approach this in two ways. I know that we were provided separately and individually through blind copy the proposed contract with to employ Christopher Dunn. So as our new town administrator, we unanimously decided that we had a great candidate in-house. And so we could go to an executive session, but I wanted to take the temperature of the board members. If you've all read this and are satisfied with what it is, we can take a vote on the contract with the understanding that it would be reviewed and finalized by town council, or how do you want to approach this?
I did read it today. I'm comfortable with everything. I'm just going to go, I don't know if I saw the markup, so I didn't have the reds and the marks out last time. So let me just look at this real quick.
Yeah, please do.
I'm comfortable with the contract, so.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that I think Blake noted. I noted that there were a couple of extraneous words. I think that the salary amounts, which will be made public once the contract is approved, are reasonable. They reflect the importance of this job to the town's success, and they cover a period of approximately 2 years and 7 months. I did speak with council about how you handle contracts that usually run a 3-year period when you have to fill a position midstream. One option is to appoint Christopher for a 3-year term beginning November 30th, and then if we want to bring it into agreement with fiscal year, we can appoint him again to a 3-year term when FY26 begins. So those, or we just do it at the end of the contract when that happens. So it's pretty flexible as long as we agree on the terms of the contract.
Yeah, I agree. I'm good.
Okay, so first one is that I make a motion to appoint Christopher Dunn as town administrator for a period of 3 years.
You're here. Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Oh,
Second.
we need a second.
Second.
All right. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. And now I make a motion to approve the contract as presented in our package, subject to final review and approval by town council.
Second.
Second.
Oh, sorry. I'll let
I'll
you,
let-
Blake will have that one.
Yep. All right, so Blake seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye. And
Some discussion I have is I'm so excited that you're going to be our town administrator. Really, really happy. You do a
Thank you.
great job.
Appreciate it.
And the staff here are so thrilled working with you and excited for good things to come the next few years. It'll be great.
so that avoided 3 other steps.
Right?
I'm not going into executive session, so that's very efficient time management in the meeting. So just as a reminder again, we changed our regular meeting schedule so that we wouldn't bump up against holidays. So our next meeting will be December 4th, and the following one will be December 18th. And then we will revert to our normal schedule again once the new year is behind us. And those will be posted in future agendas and the website. Anything else that anyone needs to bring up?
Third. Oh, I think so the 4th we're meeting, right? And then you said the
The
18th.
18th, yes.
Yep, I think that's good.
I will be attending the planning board meeting when the 1888 building site plan review process begins. Is that next Monday?
It's December 9th.
Oh, December 9th. Good, so it's not so soon. We have to have the submission in 14 days ahead. So we have a deadline for this Friday, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. If there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Hearing any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Hello.
Just wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving with their family and friends, and I, Trevor McDaniel.
Aye, Blake Gilmore.
And I, Tim Hilchey. So thank you for all of you who have just arrived. Sorry, the meeting's over.
Might
And
be in the wrong meeting.
we will reconvene after Thanksgiving, so happy holidays.